outlier, which is when the stadium got bought, and they went out and spent an extra $7 million from the general fund outside the authority of the district, identified by the Auditor General, it's an issue. But when you look at it, look at the next year. They continue to spend that money. I think this is part of NEF, we should find out, but you never reset it. And it only went up from there. If you reduce those dollars back to the 37 and then add it in your cost of living, this is the shell game that a board that was not really looking at it missed, that we hopefully, by presenting it to you guys today, will get you to realize that don't fall for the myth. The numbers are there. It's a 10-year history. You should not have this problem. And you should be able to do it. And there should be a reason why you can't. Plus, you have all the efficiency associated with the elementary center. So we got to look at the government's authority. What's my time? Close?
You're way over.
I am.
Yes, you are.
What do I mean?
You're about 7 minutes over your 15.
Oh, okay. I thought I had
50%.
I was 20, I thought. No problem. All right. So if we look at the government's monetary authority, the board has a sole authority and responsibility to collect and disperse enough money to do this job. How many people on this board understand and know exactly what is required of you to provide to these students? And is it written down? And can you walk up to them and say, this is what we have to give you. This is your mandated benefit. This is what you're required to do. This is your eye exam. This is your hearing exam. This is your English test. This is your math. This is your science. This is what we're going to provide for you. And those great taxpayers out there that love this community, and we do, and love our staff, give you so much more extra to do all these things too. And these are the optional things you do. Like busing. Amazing option, right? But without it, total chaos. Those are optional. Those stakeholders should be thanked for what they provide, and you should efficiently use those resources. And if you do, you'll have a whole different attitude from the community and a whole different perspective when you look at it as, I want to hear from them which one of these options is valuable. Nathan identified that his child takes piano lessons, for instance. Does this community think that every school-age child should have piano lessons or access to a piano and see if they like piano lessons? I like the latter, but if we're going to, as a community, decide the former, that everyone gets that, so be it. That's what the community wants. They write the check, hand it to you, make sure it happens. We're all in support of any child that has a spark. Add fuel to that fire. Let it burn. Help them every way you can. And $40 million is being collected to do just that. Go back to that page on the performance, we got an issue. All right? So we want to look at it. So Berks County solved the problem for this. Actually, I worked with the lady that wrote that report to do just that because Carbon would not do it for us when I was a Trek. Very frustrating. However, I digress. That Berks report is statewide. It's not just countywide. There's no county changes. You can read that report. I provided it to you as a director. You should give it to your administration, and then they should identify in that budget, on each and every line item, which ones are and are not mandated, and how they're being used. Because I know we were missing before. We tried doing it, we got shut down. You have this great opportunity to do it right. All right, you got to measure it, manage it, and improve the efficiency. And please, there's a surcharge act within the district. When you look at those dollars back to that spreadsheet, there was a lot of those dollars. I think that extra $3 million is part of the NEF. You can go back and work with at least the stipends that was paid for programs that were not provided, grants that were taken that were not implemented, the things that Janice is so afraid of happen in this district. So until you give her a list of all those grants that you're actually taking, what the obligations are, so that those people can decide what they're paying for, they're blind. And it's an unfair advantage. And thank you for letting us come out. So the way to solve these problems, I'll move to the next one real quick. Ask the 5 whys. Why don't I have a list of the grants? Why did it go up $3 million the next year after we won a stadium? Why? Get to the root cause, solve the problem. You can look at any situation, come up with options, and pull your state representatives, Pull your community, pull your stakeholders. Say, I have this situation, I want your free advice and free option that I get to choose from. And then as directors, you have the authority, the power, and the will to try one of them. Either one you bring to the table, one your partner brings to the table, or someone else wants to the table. Then you can take that action, evaluate it, and see if it moves you along the path you're heading, and then you continue along. If it does not, you can reevaluate it and go back. Basic business management been missing from this district. If it gets re-implemented, I'm telling you, tax rebate, a tax reduction, and an increase in services to this district on the efficiency of this board. All right? And then each and every time you decide something, add it to the library, because right now, as a board of director, if you were not handed all those reports, if you were not handed all those documents, if you were not handed all that past history, you're at a disadvantage. And this is a relatively new board. Fantastic. We did a great job in building a new board so they can be open-minded, but they need the data, and that's the way to get it. So the way to also deal with this problem, and it's an ongoing situation, you just got to get a well-defined, formal written complaint process, because that gets you guys aware of what's happening to prevent that school safety issue. That way kids stay in the district. They're safe. If not, let's face it, a lot of the charter school, homeschool, and private school are because of the threats, because of the problems, because of the issues. Others are because of not getting the services they need. Look at those grade scores. It should be a competition. But whatever's best interest for the student, the money follows the student in the system in Pennsylvania. When we, the stakeholders, provide this government with money, it's supposed to follow the student, and it does. You got to allow it to with an open mind and help them to the best advantage of those parents and those students so that they can get across that bar. Right now, we as Lehighton School District, and I used to be a teacher, not here, 38% getting across that bar is not an acceptable level in anybody's sense of imagination. If you get benchmarks, collect the data, get a monthly report, I think you're going to find that this whole process of directing the administration, because that is your responsibility, to direct them towards where they're going, will be a lot easier. Because you'll be having the information you need, as any business owner would, as any manager would. I mean, even if you looked at it as a coach, you look at the responsibility of having the information and the data from your team. You should publish public-friendly reports. If she needs a list of all the grants, hey, here you go. Just send it. Streamline the interactions between students and parents and the government. I'm going to give you an example. I find humor in this. This is on your website as an existing chain of commands. I highly propose you go to the one to the right. It's pretty much the same thing. Minor changes, but it makes the process more streamlined so any parent can look at the chart to the right and say, this is what I need to do to help my student get to the next level. Whereas the one on the right is, that is chaotic, I'm going to hide, and my poor kid is going to be one of those 38%. Baseline students. All right, last slide. So, stakeholders elect you, the directors are supposed to direct, and then the administrator is supposed to administer. When you look at this puzzle, the administration does not have any legal authority to create a budget. And the three I've seen, they're all unbalanced. And we know lawful requirement is that you have to have a balanced budget. You have to balance it. Lawful requirement, you can't have too much of a fund balance. In the past, they had $13 million. They had so much excess it was silly. They went out and bought a stadium for cash.
They had 14 million.
Whatever, 14. Sorry for underestimating. But the reality is, all of those unlawful authority that was taken, when you cut that out of the system and do your lawful authority as required by a district director, because you're administering the information, you're telling the administration to administer the information and feed that back to you as a director. They answer to you, you answer to the stakeholders, and if you hold up your badge of honor and say, hey, here's where we're at, it might not even be the greatest report, but it's only the next port and the next port and the next port that we're looking at. You're looking at that trend line. That trend of those grades, I gave you all 5 years worth of these reports, doesn't move. You've been spending more and more money each and every year getting the same bad results. managerial standpoint, when more information is given to the stakeholder, and more board access like today is given, it'll change the focus of the community and the board and the administration to help these kids, to find those sparks where the money should be applied. And the kids that are with disabilities, the ones that we are failing most, and I'll just back this up for 1 second.
Steve, you're at half an hour.
Good.
No,
I am.
we agreed on 15 minutes,
I agree.
and you are.
Cut off, I'll be cut off. Go to the,
Kindness.
there you go. Go to page,
I know which one you're talking
yep,
about.
go to page 6. You're on probation from the state of Pennsylvania for not helping disabled kids.
I believe that has now expired.
Hope. But
I
that's
don't know if we're back on it.
So thank you. So, what questions do you have
I don't
to help
have a
us
question.
better get an understanding as a stakeholder that we're going to try to aim for efficiency within this business? And can we all agree that given our proposal, that a tax rebate is obtainable, a tax reduction is obtainable, and as such, if used efficiently, we can not only improve the performance, but we can make sure we retain our tax base that's so critical in this environment that we currently have.
So what I'd like to propose is that we hear Ed's proposed budget, and we talk about what is and is not in there. And that's really the purpose of this meeting.
I agree. And to hear both sides of the lobby for
Yep,
tax reduction, tax savings, help the students be efficient,
yep.
and then the lobby from the people collecting those dollars and getting to use them for that. I agree that they are, and the right way to pull that off is have a debate between the two. If you had a debate between the two, you as the arbitrator, the director, could then see the weaknesses when you look at people asking for it and telling you, or trying to tell you when you're the director,
Does
what has to
it,
happen.
does anyone on the board have questions for David this time?